I got it. Got them all on my calendar. Is that all the announcements today? All right, if so, please hear these words as our call to worship. We gather today because God invites us to come, to ask with honesty, to seek with hope, and to knock with trust. We come carrying our needs and our gratitude, our questions and our faith, believing that God is near and attentive. Jesus reminds us that God is generous, that no prayer is ignored, and no seeker is turned away. Let us worship the God who listens, the God who opens doors, and the God who meets us with love and grace. Will you pray with me? Loving God, you invite us to come to you with open hearts and persistent faith. As we gather to worship, quiet our distractions and draw our attention to your presence among us. Help us to trust that you hear our prayers, to seek your will with humility, and to knock on the doors where you are calling us to serve. May our worship today deepen our faith and prepare us to live as your people in the world. We offer this time to you with gratitude and hope. Amen. Our opening hymn, Songs of Praise, the Angels Sang, number 60, and stand if you are able. In Luke 11, Jesus reminds us that God is not distant or reluctant, but generous and responsive. God invites us to ask, seek, and knock, not because God needs reminding, but because prayer shapes our hearts to trust. Our giving today is one way we respond to that trust. We offer not out of obligation, but gratitude, believing that what we place in God's hands can be used by others. As we give, we do so with confidence that God continues to provide for the work of love, service, and peace in this community and beyond. You can now bring your offerings forward. Well, this seems like a very special time. The children are going to do a bell choir. Twinkle, twinkle. Children, I think you can stay here because we have a children's story now. Is Doug prepared to do that?
Give that man an RG done.
I guess you can sit right there. I'll sit over here. Thank you. You know, have you ever seen this? What is that? It's a back scratcher, right? Back scratcher. Josiah loves this back scratcher. You want to lie down so I can scratch your back? Lie down. Josiah loves it when I take this back scratcher and I go under his shirt like this. Scratch, 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 scratch. Or even his tummy scratch. You want to try it, Romeo? Lie down. Oh, you want to do it to Luther? Okay. Put it under his shirt. Scratch his back. Go clear up the pocket. Clear up there.
I give you 2 hours.
How's that feel, Luther? Thank you, Romeo. Can I have the back scratcher back? Do you want to try it? No. Do you want to try it? Do you want to scratch Emmy's back? You care if she scratches your back? Thank you. Well, you may have noticed something this morning. Nathan had a word for us about not letting our distractions, to quiet our distractions. Sometimes we just have to go with the distractions and delight in the distractions. Because we have little ones here who can be a little bit wild, delightfully wild. I think that Bill Gay's going to talk about all parts of the body and doing our own little thing. And I think children, the best thing you can do is just be children. Delight, smile, get involved. Well, for you adults, I want you to know that Bill Gay is speaking today. And Mary Oliver once said, "What is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" Do you know what Bill's nickname was in Michigan when he was with us? Wild Bill. Wild Bill. And it's been wild, hasn't it, Penny? Is that right? Wild Bill. Yeah. Anyway, I hope the congregation recognizes these children, they can be a distraction, but it's a delightful distraction. It's delightful to have that distraction, and I hope you will always give them affirmation for being who they are as delighted, excited children, so they can grow up to be wild in a good way. Thanks, Romeo. Can I have it back? Thank you. Thanks, children. And Cliff, do you want to tell your children's story too? Some other time. You want to take that with you? Okay, all right.
I know sometimes as parents or grandparents, you feel a little weird when your kids are acting like that, but just so you guys know, everybody in the congregation was smiling when you're chasing him around, so it's okay. I saw Doug at I was playing pickleball, and he was with his grandson, and grandson was running all over the place, and Doug was trying to keep up. And it's not easy, is it? Our next hymn is number 20, Come and See.
I just wanted to say that I picked this hymn out, number 20, Come and See, because I was thinking about Bill this week. And when he was invited by somebody from our congregation to come to church with them. He seemed to be a real searcher at that time. I'm not sure what was going on in his life, but he stuck with us, and he started going to disaster service projects, and he became in love with the Church of the Brethren people, I believe, through staying at our church and going to disaster projects, and he got his own calling then, and he followed Jesus, and he's going to tell us about that today, I think. We're going to sing the first two verses, which are lines 1 and 2. And then there's a third verse starting with Christe, Christe, and Kyrie, Kyrie. I would like that side of the church to sing the Christe part, and this side of the church sing the Kyrie part. Come and see.
The scripture reading is from Luke chapter 11, verses 5 through 10. And he said to them, "Suppose one of you has a friend, and you go to him at midnight and say to him, 'Friend, lend me 3 loaves of bread, for a friend of mine has arrived, and I have nothing set before him.' And he answers from within, 'Do not bother me. The door has already been locked, and my children are with me in bed. I cannot get up and give you anything.' I tell you, even though he will not get up and give him anything because he is his friend, At least because of his persistence, he will get up and give him whatever he needs. So I say to you, ask, and it will be given to you. Search, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be open for you. For everyone who asks receives, and everyone who searches finds. And for everyone who knocks, the door will be opened. And Paulette just gave a really nice introduction of Bill. And I know they've got looks like a lot of things to share up here, and I know there's some slides, so I'm looking forward to, I'm going to sit out in the audience so I can make sure I can see. So thank you.
Okay, because there is so much on the slides, and it would take more time than we have for you to see them, I thought maybe you could even run them without the volume and we'll talk. Okay. And right now I feel just a bit melodramatic that we're wearing these shirts, but these shirts, there was 200 of each kind in existence, and you had to be in Arctic Village, Alaska for these ceremonies to have one of these shirts. Even when we're in Fairbanks and Butch and Athabascan see us and they say, where on earth did you get them shirts? And so it's just even amazing with their own people, how these two white people from Indiana would have these shirts. Okay, I must share that I had given 3 different passages. The first one you had shared about. In approximately 2003, my dear pastor, Mr. Doug Reichenbach, said to me that this Luke passage reminded him of me because to me, whether it be in disaster response, working with teens on probation, or recycling issues, to me the word no created a new conversation. I did not accept no on behalf of children, on what God called me into my life. Another passage was that there's so many different parts of the body, and I must convey that today or I wouldn't be true to the people in this audience that I'm talking about. And the third passage was from Hebrews 12, a great cloud of witnesses. She is the love of my life. I have possessions in Michigan that are properties and money and stuff. This photo is my most prized possession. This photo came to us as a gift on our computer in 2011, and we don't know where, we know the location, but we have no idea why we were given this photo. When we leave Arctic Village each year, this is what it looks like. All the foliage, you see the beautiful flowers. This was taken in like September. We have no idea how it got on our computer, and this is one of the reasons why we continue going back. We don't know why we were given this photo. Okay, now I'll start. So now, this April, I will be leaving. Penny, I leave a month early and go up. This is my 23rd year of going up, and we promote gardening in Alaska. And then Penny comes up a month after because she's a high school teacher at Norwell. And so, okay, I'm trying to, normally we talk for like an hour and a half, and I'm trying to condense it into 20 minutes. But it's a case where in 2007, one of the highlights was meeting a woman named Heidi Radar. She was the new agriculture specialist for Tanana Chiefs Conference, which is an entity that oversees 48 villages north of Fairbanks. And she was a new hire. The following year, she introduced us to the Dean of Agriculture at the University of Alaska at Fairbanks. And Dr. Carol Lee Lewis told Penny and I, this is amazing what you're doing, and I admire your effort coming all the way from Indiana, but don't be disappointed when you fail, because you will fail at what you're here for. Right here is a full-page article in the Fairbanks paper crediting us for proving that gardens can be grown above the Arctic Circle. And that's the definition of failure. And that's because we didn't go alone. Christ went with us everywhere we went, and we conveyed that to her. And she wasn't a Christian woman, but she thought it was wonderful. And so that was in 2011. In 2011, the 5th film crew that we were featured on, and if you need us to stop, just say so. We were featured in the 5th crew documentary. We've talked to authors from around the planet, and I say that for a reason. And we realized in 2011 we're used as tools to inspire people around the world to help someone. And then each year something happened to where we knew it even got bigger. And I share that not to brag, but to tell you that this is all about Christ. 2.5 months before Penny and I started this project, we did not know each other. I mean, this is all about Christ putting us together. I lived 175 miles away from where Penny lived, and we both had to travel to a Brother in Disaster Ministries project to meet. I had 5 days to convince a complete stranger she is supposed to marry me, travel to Alaska, live in a Native American village, and not take a house, live in a tent, and teach Gwich'in Indians how to garden. She went home after 5 days and told her parents, and her dad said, "What in the H are you talking about?" And it's just been an amazing ride. I just lost my train of thought. But it's just all about Christ leading us to do. And this is very important. Now, one of my passages was the different parts of the body. Because so now in 2006, I had agreed to go to Arctic Village in 2007 and start a gardening project and try with the host family that David Radcliffe lives with while he goes up there, and that's Charlie and Marion Swaney. My BDM mentor was a man named Ammon, Miller, and Jiggs Miller for a lot of people here. And I agreed to go January 1st to Macomb, Mississippi, and open that project up. And then I said in November and then in December to my dear friend, and I've said this like 100 times, and I really love it right now. I said to my dear friend, Pastor Doug Reichenbach, that I feel like God has laid on my heart that when I go to Macomb, I am going, I'll stop one. If I go to Arctic Village in May of 2007 by myself, I'm going to fail. And the woman that's supposed to go with me, or God has planned for me to go with me, I will meet in Macomb, Mississippi. And I am not to leave until I meet this woman. And he said, well, this isn't the first or the 5th time this has happened, and you've been so obedient, so you have my blessings. So I left with Doug's blessings. Okay, Jiggs Miller is the project director in January. So now at the end of January, he said, see that man right there? That man right there? And he said, if he tells you you have to go home, you have to go home. So I go over and introduce myself to Mr. Cliff Kendi and said, look, God has laid this on my heart and I have to stay blah, 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 blah. He goes, well, Jiggs told me you're a very good carpenter, you're a very good group leader, you're recycling 7 different products, 2 for money, and you have a big garden growing. Okay, you can hang out here. So now, here we go, week after week. God told me, week 6, and I left a very busy life. I didn't sit at home watching soap operas. Week 10, week 12, God told me. Week 13, Pleasantdale sends a group there, Pleasantdale Church of the Brethren from Decatur, Indiana. I see her, and I know in my heart, I don't know her name, but there she is. Right there's the woman that's going to be crazy enough, and I've got 5 days. Okay, and do we have a microphone here?
Should I use that one?
Yeah, okay. And so now we go in each year, and we grow gardens, but we do other things there as part of as a community, and Penny is going to share just a bit about one of the different avenues of love that we had for these villages.
Are we good? Back up a little bit. So when we go to Macomb, Mississippi, and this guy is there, taking up space that our group should have, okay? Especially the women, because we all don't cram in one room. And because this guy is there, they get to spread out in 2 rooms to sleep.
Just one thing, I had been on an on-site apartment for a month because he worked me so hard, and the BBSer left, and I go, man, I'm leaving, I'm going to this apartment. So now the first week that I come back,
Pleasantdale shows up. So
No
we're not very
offense.
happy with this guy who's there. So that's the first impressions. So first impressions aren't always what you might think.
You have to start somewhere.
So in our work in Alaska, it was focused on gardening in Arctic Village, and then we were invited to go to Circle. Arctic Village, you have to fly in, no roads there. Circle, you can drive, you can go by river, or you can fly in. We haven't gone by river, but we have flown and driven. But one other thing that I've done, besides the gardening, is helped with summer school. I'm a math teacher, PE teacher, health teacher, world history teacher, but it was math that I worked with students, helping in the summer school. And early on in helping, one student was like, "How do you even know this? You're just a gardener." Not knowing that we have another life somewhere else. So that's been part of, along the way, of helping kids, youth, wherever we've been.
And you know, in Arctic Village, it was so difficult. But by the 5th year there in 2011, through a conversation with children, because Mary Tritt, who was the paid teacher that Penny worked with, taught summer school in all the villages, but she said to us in 2009, "Would you come to Circle next year and start gardening programs there?" And we said, "No, because it hasn't caught on here." In 2011, we heard children talking, and they said, like, "Why doesn't your parents have a garden?" "Well, because blah, blah, blah." "Well, my parents have a garden, so next year your parents need to get a garden." And we heard this conversation, and we knew it was now time for us to move on. So we went to Circle. The first year we really had fun. There was a woman, the village chief was a woman named Jessica Fields, and her sister Alexa basically run the village, but Jessica handled the business portion of it. And one of the ideas she came up with, and it was just fun, and you'll see pictures here, we had a scarecrow contest. And I'll convey, in Arctic Village, we thought we would do the lion's share of the work in hopes that the homeowners would start helping, and a few of them did, but not enough. And then it got to a point where we realized that when we go to Circle, we're going to tell them, "We are not helping you with home gardens. We'll start plants for you, but we will not actually grow your garden." So now I've got pictures of different gardens that actually I had sent to Global Food Initiative, Jeff Boshart. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Jeff, but Global Food Initiatives, I'm jumping up, found out about our project in 2015 and has donated $45,200 to our program in just amazing ways, including a cultural exchange, which is, and I'm way off track here, but a cultural exchange between the Dene or Navajo Athabascans in central New Mexico and the Gwich'in Athabascans from Circle, Alaska. And actually at the 2017 annual conference, that was one of the highlights that the missions board shared that summer in Grand Rapids. But back to here. So Alexa had the idea of, and I've got pictures, several pictures of different scarecrows at different gardens. And it really caught on. And Jeff was amazed at just how many home gardens they had besides the large gardens. And we enjoyed going back and saying to Carol Lewis, "Here's a definition of failure." And these are the gardens we would grow in Arctic Village. And this is just one, but I could show you 50 different gardens because we brought way too many pictures, but just beautiful gardens. And so now it's catching on more and more. And we find out more people are being inspired by this in different parts of the world, and it's just crazy. And a lot of it had to do through our denomination. I think we have 22 articles here that Elgin had written about the projects. And one of the true blessings that David Radcliffe has a difficult time there because of the short time he's there. What he does is absolutely amazing, but we're there for so long, and this was one of the gifts. And this was an attempt at our denomination's logo. And we sent a picture to Jeff Boshart, and he said, do you mind if I make a copy and put it in my office? I mean, we are very good friends with him. And that initiated by asking Penny, would you mind flying to Milwaukee, get picked up by total strangers, and drove out into the woods in Wisconsin to meet these people you don't know? And she said, okay. And so she went, and that's how we got actually physically connected with Global Food Initiative. I was already in Alaska. And part of what we did is actually carried over to Washington, D.C., if Penny would like to share. We have nothing planned. We're winging it right now. So
the Global Food Initiative with our Church of the Brethren, yes, I went to Wisconsin for a long weekend. Some of you may remember David Young, who was here in the North Manchester area for a while. David was at that meeting. Martin from New Jersey or Vermont, somewhere on the East Coast. My friend who's passed away from Pennsylvania. No offense, but I'm rooming with an older black lady, which was great for that weekend. She was trying to get some things working in Philadelphia for the gardens there. It was just a wide range of different churches, different variety of people who were coming together, sharing their stories of what they were doing in their communities or for us in Alaska. How can we support each other? How can we help each other? And then that grew. Going to the gardens grew with the Global Food Initiative.
Going to Washington, D.C.
So because of our work in Alaska, we had some friends who work at the Northern Alaska Environmental Center who are sort of the watchdogs to make sure the lands up there, when they are mined or drilled, are taken care of properly. And through that, one of the ladies there was trying to find people from all over the country who would come to Washington, D.C. in support of that. Well, we're from the Midwest, so we went for almost a week to Washington, D.C., visited different senators and representatives, sort of lobbying on behalf of the Gwich'ins to protect their lands. So far it's helped, but we'll see what's going to happen from there. But it was pretty cool, high-powered, just a lot of energy in D.C. at that time, positive energy, maybe I should say,
right.
At that time.
Yeah, or you can, please.
Okay.
Yeah, we're well planned.
A couple of years ago in Circle, there was a flood. Circle's on the Yukon River, and there was a mighty flood from the ice breakup in the spring where the big chunks of ice just get all blocked, and then the water's got to go somewhere. And Circle had been flooded before, but this time it took a lot of houses. The flood just come through, and boom, houses are gone. So a couple of years ago, we didn't have any place to live in Circle, and we had been challenged by Alexa, who lives in Circle, the chief's sister, to at some point stay in Fairbanks because she thought we would have a greater outreach to the Gwich'in people in Fairbanks who are always coming to town to eat, to sleep, to hang out, whatever it might be. And so we took the opportunity when Circle flooded. We didn't have a place to stay. We weren't living in a tent anymore. So we stayed in Circle and worked at the soup kitchen, the soup kitchen gardens. Staying in Fairbanks. Soup kitchen, the gardens, the food bank, just a whole host of other things that we can find while we're in town. And so that's where we are at now. We'll be going back to Fairbanks and volunteering our summertime there.
I've got one dynamic that I'd like to share. So in 2022 is when Alexa shared this with us. So we left knowing in 2023 that we were going to stay in Fairbanks. That flood was in 2023. So had we went to Circle, all the gardens, the homes were destroyed. So God had a plan through Alexa not to have us be in Circle. And at that point is when Jeff Boshart said, look, I'm retiring at the end of the year. I want to give you one more grant. And I think I did, that post that Stone Soup Cafe had put on after we were leaving. But we initiated through Global Food Initiative to give $9,000 to their community garden program in downtown Fairbanks. They're all raised beds. They don't use dirt. They buy store-bought, and it's incredible gardens. But that $9,000 was used, as it said, more raised bed gardens and a drip system that still works today that was purchased by Global Food Initiative. But in fact, had we, like I say, had Alexa not laid that on our hearts, we would have been encircled. The whole program would have been just destroyed that year. But God wanted us in 23, and then I'd sent to Andy the post that she had put highlighting Church of the Brethren and highlighting Church of the Brethren Global Food Initiative. And it's just, again, all different parts of the body. And it's been just an amazing effort by so many people throughout Church of the Brethren, and we get all the credit. Maybe we do the heavy lifting, but we get all the credit. I mean, we're known around the world for doing this. It's amazing, but we couldn't have done it without so many people in Church of the Brethren.
Yeah,
you
we've
want to
been
talk
able
about
to-
the youth? Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, we've been able to have some groups from Pleasantdale, Church of the Brethren, come up and lead Bible school a couple times out in Circle. This past summer, 27 came up?
No,
17 youth and adults from our church came up, who volunteered at the soup kitchen and the food bank. On 4th of July, imagine this, 4th of July, our teenagers, and it's 90 degrees in Fairbanks, which is unreal there. And we volunteered that day at a Lutheran church who had big gardens who were supporting the soup kitchen. We were weeding gardens. And those kids did not complain. They just went about their work. The folks there had a salmon picnic for us when we were done, which was awesome. But those kids came, they worked their tails off, and then we had a couple days of fun going hiking and going to the mountains and doing things. And one really cool thing was the day before they came, we were introduced to a youth shelter in Fairbanks called The Door. And they need volunteers all summer to help with projects, new floors, tearing out bushes, just all kinds of stuff. And when that was the day before, and our group got there and we said, yeah, we'll be here the next day. So we went back for 2 days and in 2 days did 60% of the work that they wanted done that summer.
They actually put a post on Facebook that I'd also sent to you, and they used, the first sentence was, this group left us breathless. It was just mind-boggling how much work these teenagers, and everywhere they went, and probably 7 different entities, and all of them said the same thing. Look at these teenagers. None of them are on the phone. They're communicating. What is going on with these teenagers?
Yeah, so we still have some good kids in this world, and they couldn't be on their phones because they didn't have them.
I'm sure that
The youth director took them from them and didn't let them have them.
Yeah. As soon as he walked in, we all walked in the church. And it's been the same Methodist church that every group has stayed with in Fairbanks for free. And he had a bag, put them in, and took their phones. One of the many blessings that we continued even into 2011, this is David and Shisato Henry. They are professors at University of Alaska Fairbanks. Okay, in 2011, it was so warm and dry in Arctic Village that I had a tan so dark that the Indians were saying, my gosh, you're as dark as we are, which tells me, I mean, the difference between people of color and us is just where they evolved, nothing more. And so now it's very rainy, and I'm blaming all this on my dear Penny, in Indiana, where the farmers couldn't get into the fields. The weekend that she flies to Alaska, it begins raining and snowing. And I mean, it's first week in June. And when my dear Penny is wet and cold, my life is not good. And so now the third night of staying up and holding our tent down, we both said, that's it, we're quitting. And we call it pushing the button. There's an Alaska program where you're failed, you're going to push the button. And so now we're walking into town. We live on the outskirts of town. And we're going to the post office to use the telephone to call Right Air and bail. We get a letter or a card from a complete stranger in Fairbanks. And it starts out, I attend the Methodist Church in Fairbanks, and I was the bald guy that sat 2 pews in front of you. I just read the article in the Fairbanks paper, and God prompted me to send you this card to say that if there's anything we can help you with, including letting you live at our house and use one of our vehicles, we'll do this for you. Please get a hold of us. We walked out of that post office as wet and just as cold, but laughing, knowing this is way too big. I mean, we cannot leave now. And it was a challenging season, but it was the best gardens that we grew there. We had to uncover and cover them each night, but they were gorgeous. We would have never met the film crew from New York. And so now we get back to Fairbanks, and Penny said, you're going to contact these two. I don't know, geez, oh Pete's. And we're at the Golden Days Parade, and we hear, Bill! It's David. He's hollering Bill, and because we didn't contact him, but God sent us right by him, Bill. And so now we go to his house. Each year, David and Shisato help us with something. And it's, just something amazing that we really need help for. Including this 4th of July was at the church that David and Shisato, this is their home garden. She's from Japan, he's from Dayton, Ohio. And he attended Michigan, but she was intelligent and went to Michigan State. But anyway, that's another. But wonderful people, and every year, and they were the ones that made the salmon for us. You might have seen pictures. I don't know if they've scrolled through, but the group effort that we get the glory for is unbelievable.
Yeah, God uses all of this in amazing ways. So David and Shisato's daughter, Sophie, chose to go to a school outside of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And it just so happens my nephew, his wife, and in-laws live in that same community. And we connected Sophie with them, so now she has a family here that she can connect with while she's in school, and somebody she can turn to if she has needs. That, God's hand is just all over, and it's just really cool. From the famous words of the Chick-fil-A owner that I've read recently, he said, to take advantage of unexpected opportunities, we just have to leave ourselves available. And just to make sure we have time that when things come up, that we can be available and help other people, do it ourselves, or be that conduit to send people different ways. We were blessed last year to go down to North Carolina several times to help during that hurricane. It just was a real blessing. We were down there quite a bit, taking goods or helping serve whatever it was. So there's people all over the world that need help. We feel also part of what we can do is just encourage other people. What can you do for your neighbor? It doesn't have to be big. Just what is it that you can do?
Yeah, we actually was going to take one group. We were given $5,000 initially, and then a few items to take down there. We actually went to several Church of the Brethren in North Carolina and donated a good portion of that money, but then we got connected with its Generation Church, a small church in North Shawanoa, just east of Asheville. And what this tiny church did was started giving out water, and it was put on Facebook, and all of a sudden semis started pulling up with all kinds of cleaning products, food, and we've got pictures to where their whole parking lot is a store. And so we shared about that, and then at one point I shared with our congregation they'd given us $7,438 and 7 vans full of just stuff. small appliances, blah, blah, blah. So it's just fun. Life is fun. Like I said, life is fun. I'm seeing we're running out of time, but feel free to ask. Their
Questions
God
about anything?
is very much our God. I mean, these are gifts that were given to us. Another elder helped, Margaret Henry helped Penny make this and as a gift. And our dear friend Irene, who has been to our church and spoke, is a 91-year-old Gwich'in Athabascan that is a high power. If you ever Google Doyon Limited, they are the most successful Alaska-based company in the state's history, and it's run by Gwich'in Athabascans. Whoa, sorry. And she is not the CEO, but the CEO thinks she is. And they have satellite companies in Washington State, Oregon, Texas, West Virginia, and South Carolina. And she's like, I mean, she'll go to department heads and demand answers to pertinent questions. And that sweet little old lady, I walked in there with her, and I walked out of there scared of her. It's like, I don't want her mad at me. But she has come to Decatur and spoke at our church, and she was had dinner with us 3 times with the youth group, and just an incredible woman. The drive from Fairbanks to Circle is dangerous in the summertime. She's 91, and now, honey, I don't worry about it. And she went over Christmas, drove by herself to Circle, 91. If God wants me to die today, that's fine. She's an amazing woman, and just one of they're our family. Oh yeah, if there's any questions, feel free.
What are some keys for people who are gardeners, farmers, that made a big difference? I mean, practical things that made a difference besides just God working God's wonders. I mean,
Yeah.
there were some initiatives you took.
Well, and you know what's interesting, because like we shared, and one of the, it's like a documentary type, it's of the 2009 project, and Penny talks about where Sarah James, if you Google Gwich'in Elder Sarah James, she's a paid worldwide spokesperson for the Gwich'in, and dear friend of ours, and she would show us where gardens were grown decades ago, and they never followed up on it, and Penny shares about that in that 10-minute documentary.
Yeah, because that generation, when they grew up, there was gardening, and it just sort of fizzled. So what we had to do, what we did do, I guess, is with our greenhouses is figure out what needed to stay in the greenhouse because of the weather conditions. What could we put outside in the ground, which usually wasn't till early to mid-June, till the ground actually warmed up from the permafrost. An Arctic village being 300 miles north of Fairbanks versus Circle, which is 150 miles north of Fairbanks, was even different of the climates and the soil and what we could do. But it was just a matter of, figuring that out, working at it.
Yeah.
I mean, what else did we have to do but water plants and watch them grow? Because we're not in our own house, we're in a tent or in a little cabin. That's just what we did pretty much 24/7 was make sure they got watered and just.
But no, we wanted to show them that it was as low tech as possible, even to the point of we would carry 5-gallon buckets of water, even though they would offer, and they quit offering because they knew we wanted to show you. If we can come 3,500 miles, live in a tent, and carry buckets of water, you can do this from the comfort of your own home. And we speak about that in that short documentary style. And it's just perseverance.
Fertilizer might have made a difference, but we didn't.
No, we wanted as low tech as possible, and just perseverance. And they all remembered. And the thing in Arctic Village too, probably 20% of the seeds we took and the plants we started ended up in another village, to where we were told this was not going to happen. You were going to fail. But if you read in that article, this woman, Heidi Radar, now in 2011 is talking about almost 430 gardens now being raised throughout the Gwich'in 15 villages, because they're nomadic people. So they come to Arctic Village for a day, whatever, something. and leave with plants and seeds. And so now, between 2007 and 2011, there's 430 gardens being grown in these 15 villages that she talked about that wasn't being done in 2007. Just perseverance, like here.
How has this affected their health?
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's just amazing. And one of the advantages in Circle is when they initiated an elders program, and we have a couple of articles about how the lion's share of the community gardens that we initiated, and not counting all the home gardens in Circle, and the lion's share of the food went to the elders food program. And it was such a benefit. And that's what Alexa approached us in 22. We love what you do for our elders, and we love having you here. But if you want to help my people, help, because they would leave the villages and quite honestly go to town and get in trouble. And the villages are dry. They would go there and drink, quite honestly. And we've seen them come home and get loved up on, but in Fairbanks at the soup kitchen, we've seen them at their lowest point. So now we're able, because we know so many, we're going up and loving up on them. The white volunteers see that these people aren't bad people, and that Bill and Penny know most of them. So they started a conversation with them, and it was a win situation, because now they no longer have a discomfort with, I get it, Johnny, with these Athabascans that they see but never talk to. And it's been incredible. And it's just, I can't believe we get to do this. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh. Any other questions? Yes. No, actually, like, these were not in greenhouses.
In the greenhouses, we had to keep our peppers, tomatoes,
Yeah.
the cabbages.
Yeah.
In Arctic Village,
Yeah.
a lot stayed in the greenhouses. In Arctic Village, since it was colder there, it was more in the greenhouses, but we still had some in the ground.
We were told about, this is funny, a book called A Land Gone Lonesome. And it talked about trapper cabins all along the Yukon River. But my point is in that book, the National Geographic had heard about this guy named Charlie River Charlie, who in the winter would actually eat tree bark because there was no food at that point. Well, Charlie River Charlie was Charlie, I forget his last name. Anyway, and he lived part-time in Circle. Well, we talked him into growing gardens, and but the first year he goes, oh my gosh, all these years of living off of tree bark, I could have been growing gardens. And he really helped us because he married one of the locals. And, but if you got a book called A Land Gone Lonesome, and they talk about Charlie, and they tried to catch up with him, but he was such a benefit for our village because he just was so enthused about gardening after 1 year. Yeah.
What would you do with Johnny Hanger if he'd come up there, who likes to fish?
That's interesting because I've got a picture. Okay, here is once dried fish. I've got a picture of their definition of fishing is a fish wheel. And this is what they use, the lion's share of the Gwich'in Athabascans, and it turns with the current, and as it gets to the high point, the fish slide down because it's built on a bevel into a hopper or a basket. And I've got pictures of them. And the salmon are worth on average of $100 to $150 a piece, and they'll get from 1 to 15 a day. And they process them and then sell it. And that's a big part of their income is and they sell it by the pound, and it's really, really good. I mean, when you pull these down and start eating them. But there's the definition of fishing, so. I don't know of any, well, in Arctic Village, even there they use seines. I don't know of any that have a fishing pole because of the currents there and such. But this is a couple of our youth from Pleasantdale that have been, let's see. Well, and this is David Jackson, or no, David Brown, and Adam Brown was inspired by me to a year of BVS, and that's where you met Adam. And his brother's been on like a dozen trips. Dustin has been on about a dozen trips. And they both came to Circle. Dustin was part of the group that Northern Alaska Environmental Center had a house literally 3 foot from their office, so therefore they couldn't use the backyard for anything. About a dozen construction companies said, we'll squash it and throw it in a large dumpster and haul it away. And they said, no, we want it dismantled. And they're going, no. So 2 groups from Pleasantdale Church came to Fairbanks, and we dismantled that. And like 80% of it was reused. And actually during that time is when Pam Miller said, look, would you mind coming to Washington, D.C. during that 2-week period? So that was one of the ripple effects. But now the youth group, that was in 2014. The youth group are surrounded by the same director of Northern Alaska, and she talked about the ripple effect of the Church of the Brethren people coming to Fairbanks and doing that, and how they can now use the backyard for different events that they couldn't do before. And them kids walked out of there. And I'd shared with you as far as September 14th of this year, if you go to Pleasantdale Church website, for some reason they tried to put Church of the Brethren in. For some reason it was difficult. So, but if you go to YouTube, and you can hear them kids share about their time with us in Fairbanks. They didn't want to leave. I mean, it was just amazing. And you listen to these teenagers, and the adults are going, I've never heard them talk so mature. And then they'll tell you it was life-changing for them, stepping into our ministry. Yeah. Anything else? There's like 20 articles here from Elgin that, I mean, it's just been so helpful. Yeah. So, thank you all for inviting us here. We really enjoyed being here.
Could people come up and maybe look at some of these pictures and
Oh
things
my,
after
yes.
service? Yeah. We now have a closing hymn, which is, let's see, number 76. Praise, I will praise you, Lord.
Sorry.
You invite us to ask, to seek, and to knock, and you promise that the door will be opened. We offered these gifts as a sign of our trust to you. Bless them and use them for your purposes, to bring hope where there is need, comfort where there is pain, and love where there is division. Shape our hearts to be as generous as you are, and to teach us to live as faithful stewards of all you have given us. Amen. You may be seated.